Good evening, everyone. The council, please come to order. Everyone, please stand. We'll be led in prayer by Alderman Wilson.
Almighty God, we ask for your blessing upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all our deliberations. Give us the strength and the wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings. And keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of your community. Amen.
Amen. Alderman Berto, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'd all please remain standing, I would just ask for a brief moment of silence on the 78th anniversary of D-Day. We remember the men and women who made this sacrifice for our freedom. Their bravery is a hallmark of American history and will live on in eternity. We will never forget. Thank you.
Adoption of minutes, May 2nd, 9th, a public hearing, and the 16th, a public hearing and regular meeting, 2022.
Entertain a motion, please, to make this happen. Alderman Singh, second by Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion, questions, or issues with the minutes of the meeting? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto? Yes. Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Motion passes 7-0.
A proclamation.
Thank you. This evening, I'd like to read to you a proclamation from the city. Whereas Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States, and whereas in 1865, it was on June 19th that the Union soldiers, led by Major General Gordon Granger, landed at Galveston, Texas, with news that the war had ended and that the enslaved were now free. And whereas this was 2.5 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which had become official on January 1st, 1863. And whereas Senate Bill number 305 was passed by the House and Senate of Connecticut and signed into law by the governor, declaring the 19th day of June to be Juneteenth, Independence Day, a legal holiday in the state. And whereas Lieutenant Daniel Jenkins II, the first black police officer in Norwich, held the first Juneteenth celebration in Connecticut in 1989 here in the Rose City, educating all to the significance of Juneteenth with a celebration. And whereas Lieutenant Dan Jenkins II, with help from the NAACP and the city of Norwich the following year, and they have hosted the celebration until they received help from Global City Norwich a few years ago. And whereas the Rose City is proud of their history of celebrating Juneteenth and being the first city or town in Connecticut to do so, and welcomes the continued celebration of Juneteenth and all it stands for. Now therefore, I, Mayor Peter Albert Nystrom, and Norwich City Council President Pro Tem Joseph DeLucia, on behalf of the Norwich City Council and the citizens of the city of Norwich, to hereby declare the month of June as Juneteenth in the city of Norwich, and urge all citizens to become more aware of the significance of this celebration in African American history and in the heritage of our nation and city. Dated the 6th day of June 2022, was signed by myself and President Pro Tem Joe DeLucia. Thank you.
Public hearing number 1. An ordinance providing for the abatement of real estate taxes on real property improvements for the historic redevelopment and reuse of the Hale Mill pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 12-127 small a.
Thank you. At this time, I declare this public hearing open, and we will start with those wishing to speak in favor of this proposed ordinance. And we're going to have her read the letter from the Commission on the City Plan, so it's officially in the record of the public hearing itself. Thank you.
Dated May 20th, 2022, to the Honorable Mayor and alderpersons of the Council of the City of Norwich, regarding an ordinance providing for abatement of real estate taxes on real property improvements for the historic redevelopment and reuse of the Hale Mill pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 12-27, small a. The Commission of the City Plan at the May 17, 2022 hybrid regular meeting reviewed and discussed the above reference referral. Seated were Frank Manfredi, Les King, Michael Lahan. After careful consideration, the Commission voted unanimously to forward a favorable recommendation regarding an ordinance providing for the abatement of real estate taxes on real property improvements of the historic development and reuse of Hale Mill pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 12-127, small a, to the City Council. Reason: multiple strategies in the 2013 POCD support community structures and capitalize the historic assets are related to the restoration and rehabilitation of historic properties and mill enhancement. Frank Manfredi, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Again, at this time, I invite anyone to speak in favor of this ordinance at this time. If you approach the mic, please state your name and your address. You will have 3 minutes if you wish to speak to us, please. Is anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this ordinance? And is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Last time, is there anyone wishing to speak in favor at this time of this ordinance? Seeing no one, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Seeing no one wishing to speak in opposition, I then declare this hearing closed.
Oh,
No.
he actually had his hand up before you.
Do you know where we are?
In favor
Good.
of, on the Hale, on the...
Well, I'm sorry, you're out of the room.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Thank you.
Good evening, Robert Bell, 122 Broadway, in favor of this tax abatement. Now, so when we have investors to come in here and spend millions of dollars to increase our infrastructure, our grand list, to create jobs such as the Hale Mill project will do, and create a destination, another destination for people to go. Having a tax abatement over the course of the 15 years that is listed in there does give them an opportunity to better project their long-term outcome and to help grow their base after they've spent millions and millions of dollars. So just I am in support of it, and I think we should do more of it across the city for even smaller projects such as office buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. For the record, the gentleman speaking was in favor. We had moved on to the portion where someone might be in opposition. If the minutes could reflect, he was out of the room at the time and had returned. Thank you. Again, for the sake of, in case someone else would like to speak in opposition at this time, I'll ask one more time. Anyone to speak in opposition to this ordinance at this time? Seeing no one, I declare the hearing closed. Thank you.
Number 2, an ordinance amending Section 9-28 of the Norwich Code of Ordinances by amending the annual fee to be charged for each truck used by commercial haulers for the disposition of solid waste and any other materials collected in Norwich and disposed at the facility operated by Southeastern Connecticut Regional Resource Recovery Authority.
I declare this public hearing to be open and to invite anyone wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance. Please identify yourself, name and address, and you would have 3 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Seeing no one, is there anyone here in opposition to this ordinance? Is there anyone here in opposition to this ordinance? Is there anyone here in opposition to this ordinance? Chatty bunch. Seeing no one in opposition, declare this hearing closed. Thank you.
Second reading and action on the above ordinances previously presented. Number 1, an ordinance providing for the abatement of real estate taxes on real property improvements for the historic redevelopment and reuse of the Hale Mill pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 12-127 small a.
Thank you. At this time, I entertain a motion to bring this to the floor. Alderman Wilson, second Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? President Pro Tem, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say that, again, another mill that languished for quite a long time, decades. My time's up already.
It wasn't me. It was somebody
That's
in the
okay.
audience. Sorry.
Again, as I was saying, a mill that languished for decades is now being brought back to life with a new purpose and with a new benefit to the community, to the clients, to a developer, and most importantly, to the city. So I'm very happy to see this moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there further discussion? Well, I'll simply say that we began serious discussions with the proposed owner at the time, three and a half years ago, and to see it come to fruition is really, really great news. It's not unlike what happened with Panema Mills, a mill of gigantic size that everyone said could never happen. It can happen. And here's a second example, and I hope it leads to a third and fourth example, because we have other mills in this city looking for help. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
That's 7-0.
Motion passes 7-0. The ordinance is adopted.
Number 2, an ordinance amending Section 9-28 of the Norwich Code of Ordinances by amending the annual fee to be charged for each truck used by commercial haulers for the disposition of solid waste and any other materials collected in Norwich and disposed of at facilities operated by Southeastern Connecticut Regional Resource Recovery Authority.
Thank you. May I entertain a motion, please? Alderman Wilson, second. Alderwoman Berto. Is there discussion? None. Roll call.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderwoman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
The motion passes 7-0. The ordinance as proposed is adopted.
Petitions and communication. Report from the Commission on City Plan of the City of Norwich pursuant to Section 8-24 of the Connecticut General Statutes 15, Section 4 of the Norwich City Charter, an ordinance provided for abatement of real estate taxes on real property improvements for the historic redevelopment and reuse of the Hale Mill pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 12-127 small a.
Thank you. Entertain a motion, please, to receive. Alderwoman Gould, Alderman Singh is the second. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderwoman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
That's 7-0.
Motion passes 7-0.
Number 2, communication from the Recreation Chairperson regarding the Tennis Committee.
A motion, please, to receive. Alderwoman Gould, second. Alderwoman Berto. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderwoman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
That's 7-0.
Motion passes 7-0.
Number 3, communication from the City Council Board of Ed School Budget Ad Hoc Committee regarding their recommendations.
Motion, please, to receive. Alderman Singh, second Alderwoman Berto. Is there discussion? Yes, President Pro Tem.
I would just like to take a moment to thank my colleagues on the council and our colleagues on the Board of Ed that serve on this committee. I'd also like to thank staff, both on the Norwich Public School side and on the city side, for working together. Again, this is 60% of the city's budget, and this committee's work makes that job of dealing with that easier by far. So, and I just, again, want to thank everybody for their hard work and their participation and their collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Singh.
Yes, I would also like to commend the efforts of Board of Education and their administration, that they understood that we need to make sure we do what's right. And there is no doubt ad hoc committee serves a very good purpose, that we resolve issues without friction. When I was in Board of Education as well, I was member of ad hoc committee, and I think it has created more trust between the Board of Education and the City Council side. So we hope this committee keeps on doing the great job and keep producing good results. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7.
Motion passes 7-0.
City Managers Report.
Thank you. This is the city manager's report for June 6th, 2022. Meetings attended were with state representatives and legislators, Southeastern Council of Governments, Southeastern Transit District, Region 4 Regional Emergency Support Plan, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, Public Parking Commission, and NCDC Board of Directors meetings. I also attended the badge pinning ceremony for the city's 2 new firefighters, Ethan Gagnon and Jeb Sorrell, and the promotions of Lieutenant Michael Poseline, Captain Christopher Zug, and Battalion Chief Mike DeZivit. Congratulations to them and their families. Norwich Youth and Family Services has provided 70 hours of mentoring and 125 hours of counseling services to Norwich youth through the ARPA funds in the current quarter. They also hosted the annual Suicide Prevention Walk with approximately 250 people in attendance to learn about suicide prevention efforts, and had over 20 resource tables to learn how to access mental health and substance use disorder supports in our community. Thank you for providing these services during our troubling times in our country. The city and its consultants received the 2022 Achievement in Civil Engineering ACE Award for the Franklin Square Roundabout from the Connecticut chapter of the American Society of Civil Engineers at the annual awards night held recently. This marks the 2nd year in a row for the city, as last year we won the ACE Award for the historic preservation of the Sunnyside Street Bridge. Congratulations to the Norwich Public Works Department. My assistant, Jackie Barbarossa, who is also the city's liaison for the Neighborhood Assistance Act program, has received 11 applications for the 2022 program year, totaling $786,732. The public hearing for the applications will be held on June 20th and forwarded to the State of Connecticut Department of Revenue Services before the July 1st submission deadline. The Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Act, NAA, tax credit program provides funding for municipal and tax-exempt organizations by providing corporation business tax credits for businesses that make cash contributions to the organizations that are approved by the Department of Revenue Services. A no-cost drive-through, walk-up COVID-19 testing is available at the Rose City Senior Center Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 4 to 7 p.m. For all ages by Genesis Diagnostics, Inc. No appointments are needed. Spalding Pond Beach is scheduled to open on June 23rd for 6 days per week. The pond will be closed on Wednesdays. Please visit the Recreation Department at norwich.org for hours of operation. I have attached the Treasurer's Report from Michael Guttari for quarters ending December 31st, 2021 and March 31st, 2022, and the Fire Chief's reports from May 18th. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, John. Are there questions of our city manager? President Pro Tem, please.
Thank you. John, so with the beach opening up, how have we done with hiring lifeguards?
Surprisingly, we're in pretty good shape to staff the 6 days a week. Ironically, we've had more troubles in previous years. We started earlier, I think, and that helped a little bit. And we raised the amount of money that we pay them.
Well, thank you.
It's always important.
That was my next question, because I did see a report that other towns, and I think maybe even the state went up
yeah.
a couple bucks an hour, right? So,
Yeah, the market is increased on that.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions, please, at this time? Alderman Wilson?
No, I want to say congratulations to Norwich Public Works and the city on the award. The other thing, it has been a busy month or so, and it's going to continue to be busy in Norwich with all of the events and things going on. So I would just say for individuals to keep up the work that they're doing. The other highlight that I want to point out from the city manager's report is the reflection from the Norwich Youth and Family Services. 70 hours of mentoring and 125 hours of counseling services goes a long way. That's just from this quarter. We ask, how are some of these ARPA dollars being put forth? And when you realize the impact that mental health services have had on our students, our families, adults, to see our departments utilizing that and stepping up to take on some of that for our families is amazing. So I want to also give them a kudos for doing their part during such a difficult time. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Further questions, comments? Alderman Singh.
Just a quick one. So, of course, I would like to applaud the efforts of Norwich Youth and Family Services. In regards to the COVID testing site, Rose City Senior Center, do we know like how busy that is, or what are like wait times right now? Is it?
It is, at this point, it's not very busy,
Not very busy. Okay.
but very convenient since you don't need an appointment. And
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion with the city manager? All right, I would just add for a public service announcement, on June 11th, there'll be a Puerto Rican festival through Global City Norwich on the Palace lot, parking lot, and the following weekend on the 18th will be a Juneteenth celebration as well, so other festivities to look forward to. The Cape Verdean and Polish festivals were very well attended and very well received by those. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor?
I'm sorry, yes.
Just one other one, that on that Friday, the
Yeah.
17th, they have the flag raising
Thank
here
you.
at City Hall out in David Ruggles' courtyard
10
for
o'clock.
the Juneteenth flag raising, 10 a.m.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Citizen comment on resolutions.
Thank you. I declare citizen comment resolutions open. The first person to sign up is Mr. Robert Bell. Again, identify yourself, name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes, please. And which resolution you're speaking to, if you can.
Good evening again. Robert Bell, 122 Broadway. Speaking on resolution number 3, use of all these ARPA funds. Now, we have like 29 items on here, and I tell you, it's a lot. There's several on here. I'm going to start negative and I'm going to move positive, all right? So there's a lot of these that I had mentioned in here before where we're hiring new employees, long-term positions with temporary money. Granted, we all would appreciate a slight tax break now, but when the money is gone 2 years from now, we're just going to raise them again to cover what we're doing now. Or are you planning on letting people go? Don't have to answer that right now. But however, I want to talk about parts number 1 through 9, $1.5 million to the Vanilla Box program, $300,000 to I believe that's the Reed and Hughes building project, the Hale Mill project, $20,000 for TVCCA equipment, St. Vincent de Paul gets going to get a new fridge, a new pad, which is fantastic for that they definitely need that for what they do for our community. Victims of sexual violence, I tell you, like coming out of this pandemic, all of us have suffered in some way, shape, or form, and we really do need to be investing more in mental health services coming out of it for recovery. And now I'm just kind of wondering, is $2,000 enough? Maybe that's all they asked for. I'll take your judgment on that. The Uncas Link project, the drainage infrastructure, which is huge. 40 of our nurses had flooded cars when Ida came through. You know, can our nurses get a break? And these things are for lean towards recovery. And I applaud these things, and I would like to see more of it. However, what I spoke on before, long-term positions with temporary money, maybe not the best idea. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Martha Healy, please.
Martha Healy, 19 East Town Street, 34-year resident of Norwich. Good evening. I'd like to address first the resolution number 3, adoption of the American Rescue Plan Act allocations. I was appointed to the ad hoc tennis committee of the Board of Rec by the council over 2 years ago. The committee was only to be in existence for 2 years. In those 2 years, under the enthusiastic, excellent guidance of Rec Director Cheryl Hanson-Preston, we collected community input, we raised funds through donations, we visited newly built tennis courts, and had discussions with builders of courts. We chose a builder and were in receipt of a bid for 4 tennis courts. It was to our satisfaction, and with the promised ARPA funds, we were ready to proceed with the building of 4 tennis courts where the Armstrong tennis courts once stood. But we cannot. The funding has not been released by the City Council. Currently, whenever I or any other members of the committee are asked about what is happening to tennis courts, we can only say we have no idea. At this point, our bid for the 4 tennis courts has expired, and as we know, time is money, and most certainly the next bid will be more costly. We have the money for 4 courts. Yes, 6 would be nice. They could be added any time in the future when the funds are available. So why are we not commencing the building of the 4 courts? In respect to resolution number 4, proposing a workshop to discuss the proposed allocation of ARPA funds, specifically the LED lights on the tennis courts and the lighting and surfacing of the 40-year-old gravel parking lot that serves the tennis courts, softball, baseball fields, and track. Why do we need another community workshop? The community has had many opportunities to comment, and this is summer. This would only push back these projects for several more months. Presently, the children and citizens of Norwich will have another summer with very few tennis courts in this city, far fewer than cities of comparable size. The activity of playing tennis costs virtually nothing, and it's an activity that people can play from 4 to 84. Public tennis courts offer an inexpensive sport to all when only a few can afford private facilities to play. I urge you to vote against resolution number 4 regarding more workshops for proposed allocations, and to place on the agenda for your next meeting the funding for the 4 tennis courts. It's way past time to commit starting this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Marvin Cerruto, please.
Marvin Cerruto, 100 Star Street, Norwich, Connecticut, the Republic of the United States of America, not a democracy. In hand, I hold the Constitution. I have to keep it in my left pocket. It's kind of funny. Issue number 5, I come up here every year and I talk about the budget. Most of you don't understand my emotion. Right now, I should be in Jensen Beach, Florida, surfing and fishing and paying about 1/3 of the taxes that I pay here. But I'm not. I'm here. And so I say you vote against number 5. I'd like to see a $50 million budget. $88 million to a school system? I'm sorry. Put 100 kids in a classroom If you got hoodlums, yank them out and throw them in a concrete box. That's what they did to me. That's what they'll be doing to me when I break the law. It's real simple. Revenues, expenditures. Your revenues should always be higher than your expenditures. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak on the citizen comment regarding resolutions on tonight's agenda? Please, Beryl.
Beryl Fishbone, 19 Bliss Place. I just want to talk about one of the resolutions, number 3. Specifically, I just want to add how desperately and how thankful these are for the TVCCA Nutrition Commissary rebuild, for the St. Vincent de Paul walk-in combination cooler and freezer. These will make changes in the lives of a lot of people. Not just a few, but a lot. I'd like to speak in favor of items number 8, Public Works drainage replacements. Number 9, the Ox Hill Brook watershed improvements. Number 22, the basic needs for Norwich families, property tax assistance. And if there's extra money, could you throw a little in there? The Rose City, number 24, the Rose City Senior Center driver wage assistance. As the price of gas continues to rise and everything else continues to rise, there'll be a lot more citizens that are going to need help to get to their doctor appointment, to get to their treatment appointments, and they'll be using a lot more of the services we have available. And that driver is important. And so, again, if there's a little more, if you could see fit to give them a little extra. The purchase of the 7 Lucas Drive chest compression systems, those are a wonderful tool. And to have more in every neighborhood, at every fire station, is a tremendous gift that will reach out. And if they only need it one time, that's important. The Brown Park docks are important. They're a critical part of what we have here in Norwich, and they need to be rebuilt. And this is a way to give them funding. But while we're also talking about some wishes and dreams, it would be nice if we had a little bit of money to resurface the skateboard park. Not move it, not build something else there. Resurface it and maybe change a little bit. And I'd also like to ask that when you're doing the tennis courts, we have a new thing in town. I got to admit, I haven't tried it. And that's pickleball. And we need some outside courts. They're simple enough, but we need some help. Your help. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, would anyone else like to speak to council on the resolutions on the agenda at this time? I'd also like to comment on the resolutions at this time. Anyone like to speak to us at this time on the resolutions as posted? Seeing no one else, I then declare this closed. Thank you all.
Resolution number 1, relative to an amendment to the 22-23 budget to adjust revenue estimates.
Accept a motion at this time to put this before us. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderman Wilson. Is there discussion? Alderman Wilson?
Just for the clarification of the public and those watching, either Josh or John, it doesn't matter to me, just explain the gist of this resolution.
Please identify yourself for the record.
Josh, it's not on.
Josh Pothier, Comptroller. This resolution adds in revenue estimates for revenue sharing for the sales tax. This is the first year that we should be receiving this funding stream. So while it does that, at the same time, we shaved back some revenue estimates on real estate related items because of the inflation and increase in interest rates. They're likely to dampen these sorts of revenues from building permits, conveyance taxes, and things of that nature. So the net impact of this resolution adds $255,000 in revenue estimates, which decreases the tax levy by that same amount and reduces the general fund mill rate by 0.15 mils.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, sir. Is there further discussion or questions on Resolution 1? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto? Yes. Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gold?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Motion passes 7-0. The resolution is adopted.
Number 2, relative to an amendment to the 22-23 budget to add the position of Deputy Chief and remove the position of Director of Training and Safety from the Norwich Fire and Emergency Management Departments.
Entertain a motion, please. Bring it forward. President Pro Tem Joe DeLucia, seconded by Alderwoman Berto. Is there discussion? President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. So, short trip down memory lane. So 2 years ago, the fire study recommended the creation of a fire commissioner to oversee the recommended changes to the fire service. And even though I was not completely comfortable with the concept, I agreed that the fire department chief needs help to carry out his charter-born responsibilities and the new tasks associated with leading the implementation of the study's recommendations. The primary opposition to the idea of a fire commissioner railed against the six-figure salary and benefits package that would definitely be incurred. Thankfully, changes in the state budget caused us to cut the commissioner position, which gave us time to come up with a better and more cost-effective solution. And I believe we did. During budget hearings this year, the NFD chief made a compelling argument for a true second-in-command executive officer for the fire department. This is no different than the command structure at the police department and no less important. And I remind you that the fire chief is also the director of emergency services for the entire city. So in this resolution, we are trading the director of training and safety position with this new deputy chief position at a cost of roughly $22,000. This is a bargain compared to the cost of a fire commissioner, and it demonstrates the type of problem solving that we bring to complex issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Alderwoman Gould.
If I could have Chief Montoya come to the podium, please.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. So how do you see the role of this deputy chief, or whatever the title may be, for this second in command person to fulfill the role of a fire commissioner?
That's a good question. The fire commissioner position was pretty vague in the study. It had pretty wide-ranging responsibilities and duties to the city manager and to the fire service as a whole. The deputy chief is the title. And no, I don't see it replacing a fire commissioner. I see it doing a lot of the duties that the fire commissioner would have along with my duties, but not in replacement because it's a separate entity.
So if you could maybe enumerate some of the responsibilities that this deputy chief would have.
So let me first off by saying that the DTS position is being absorbed into the deputy chief position. It's not being replaced by, in terms of the DTS responsibilities are going away. So still everything that the DTS does, deputy EMD, emergency management director, training and safety, second in command of fire operations and fire administration. So all those responsibilities currently existing in the DTS role, plus if, I'm sure you remember some of the responsibilities of when we had a deputy chief, and, as was pointed out, similar to a deputy chief in the police department. Those second in command duties are all inclusive of my duties and then some, because it filters down.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Alderman Singh?
I'll just say seems like to me it's very economical solution to help in day-to-day working of fire department. My question is actually the ratio, like usually the position of director of training and safety for the budget standpoint, and that might be actually a question for Josh. Is the ratio still same, like from fire department and from emergency management?
Yes, it is the same. I believe it's 17%.
17%, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there other questions, concerns? Chief, I'll join in a little. I spoke to you before the meeting. I think we're here today because of changes that were originally adopted and were not followed through. We previously had 3 deputy chief positions. They were replaced by a prior council with 4 battalion chiefs. As proposed, the battalion chiefs, in fact, were to be second in command, but with collective bargaining being present, they ended up in the union of the rank and file, and I think that's really why we have a problem. Second in command, to me, it's almost impossible if you're in the same union. And that problem will continue going forward, in my opinion. I see the need for this position. I saw a real great need when you were serving our nation abroad and you were on active duty. I am concerned, however, that if this position comes back to be adopted and proposed to be in the union, we're right back where we started, and we don't have a second in command. I'd like you to comment on that if you could, please.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the concern there, and I think the city manager, myself, and others share that concern. And a deputy chief position would not be in the union.
Thank you. But it still will face collective bargaining because we're taking a position out of the union, in theory, even though it's being absorbed by the new position.
Yes, sir. That will involve some negotiation with
Okay.
Local 892.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Alderman Wilson.
No, thank you. I will say, I understand that the need for this position, as well as many of my colleagues have said. I will say, seeing firsthand when I had the opportunity to go to the fire training schools, just get a snippet of what they do on a day-to-day basis, whether it's volunteer or paid, and realizing a lot of individuals in that room that were assistant or deputy chiefs having the understanding of training from an incident command point was invaluable. I mean, it brought a lot to the table from the knowledge standpoint of day-to-day operations of a working fire or any emergency situation. And this is an opportunity for many of those things to be enhanced, as well as helping with a second in command, which I think is a no-brainer for us here. So I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. I thought he had a question, but Thank you very much. Is there further comment at this time? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Bertle?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Motion passes 7-0.
Number 3, relative to the adoption of the American Rescue Plan Act allocations.
Thank you. At this time, a motion to bring this to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second by Alderwoman Berto. Is there discussion? Alderman Wilson.
So first, I would like to make a motion to divide the question.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Singh. I know you don't. It's always in order. Correct. Yeah. We don't need the second, but it's just kind of a habit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's always in order. Yes.
I would like to make a motion actually to remove from this resolution number 11, 12, 13, 15, and 15, 16, and 17. So 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, and 17, and to put them over into Resolution 4. But I want to remove them from Resolution 3.
Thank you. I'm going to parliamentary inquiry to the corporate council just to help maybe expedite, maybe not. Do we do it as one and keep them separate?
I think it would be easier to remove them from this and then add them to
Okay.
the next one as two separate motions.
Thank you.
Just for the record.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. The second was Alderman Singh. Okay. Is there discussion on the motion? Alderman Wilson.
So I think one of the things we've heard quite a few individuals get up and talk about, I think before we move forward with any position or things of that sort in the city, whether they're 18 months or beyond that, I think having a clear understanding of the goals and objectives moving forward is important. And I don't think it would hurt us to take a little more time to make sure that we are doing what's in the best interest of each and every member in the city. It's not us saying no, it's not us saying yes. It's us doing our due diligence on line items within the American Rescue Plan. And again, going back to what my colleague, President Pro Tem DeLucia said, making sure that whatever we come up with is the best solution possible to help these departments, but also the need in certain areas in the community. So that is why I would like to move them over to the other resolutions. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Alderwoman Gould.
So we're removing 11, 12, or 11 through 20?
No,
These are all
so
new
11,
ages?
12, 13, 15, 16, and 17.
Thank you.
Is there further discussion at this time
On the motion.
on the motion to amend and remove these 6 items? I would like to ask the maker of the motion, item 11, which affects the city clerk's office. I've sat here now 9 years in this chair, and I've watched the city clerk's office have a position, not have a position, share a position. I just think that's getting old. And I know the extensive work done in the city clerk's office. Would the maker of the motion consider leaving 11 in at this time?
So I will say I would rather move it over. We're only talking a handful of weeks to have some discussions on the position. I think we all know, I've volunteered my time as well in the city clerk's office, the need. But I think the other part is we need to have the longer discussion as to, as members of the community have said, the longevity of this position beyond just ARPA. So I think, like with some of the other positions, it's our due diligence to also talk the long-term vision of this position along with some of the others, because 18 months may solve the problem now, but what do we do 18 months after that? So this is just to allow for the discussion. It's not saying we're not going to fund the position. It's us doing our due diligence to have a game plan for this set of positions, whether we add them or not. So thank you.
Thank you for that answer. It still doesn't alleviate my personal concerns. So the resolution at this time has been amended, or will be amended if we adopt this as it is. It's a matter of conscience, and I've stated why, but I will not support the amendment for that reason. Seeing no other discussion, roll call on the amendment to the resolution, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Bertle?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
No.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
No.
That's 5-2.
The amendment is adopted on a 5-2 vote. Any further discussion on resolution as amended at this time? President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move to amend item number 2. And I would just like to add in the text that a progress report to the city manager, which will then come to the council by 9/1/2024. And I'll give a brief explanation if you permit.
Certainly.
When I say we, the members of my caucus want to make sure that we get a progress report on how close these projects are to coming to fruition and having the money, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say earmarked, but encumbered, right? Before the a few months before the December 2024 date. So we feel that if we get a progress report by September 1st, if there's any sort of a hiccup, we know about it with time to do something about it. I would also like to offer under that same amendment, if you'll permit, item number 3, the same progress report request for the same reason.
Thank you. Is there a second? Alderman Singh. Motion is made and seconded to add to items 2 and 3 a progress report requirement with specific timelines as outlined. Is there discussion? Alderman Wilson?
I would like to echo the sentiments of my colleague, President Pro Tem DeLucia, when it comes to the overall progress reports. We did the same thing on round 1 with the I believe it's Market Street. Wrong. Please forgive me. And I think this just gives us due diligence to make sure that things are going to continue on path. We are excited, of course, to see some great things done in both of these projects. But I think the council doing its due diligence, if there is any hiccups, that we have some time to still work with. So thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion?
So is that an amendment to my amendment? Or is it just
No, I don't.
support? You didn't change anything to my amendment?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No. That wasn't his intent, right? Your intent was to support his?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay.
So
Go ahead.
if we're still under discussion, we're in discussion on this amendment.
Right.
The question is really for Corporation Counsel. We would also, or I should say, I would also like to build in a quarterly reporting requirement that we had in the round 1 of ARPA. Should that be a separate amendment to this resolution?
Do you need it, or can you put it in later after you adopt this at another time? Or if not, then you should do it tonight as a
Right, I just don't know if we should vote on the amendments to items 2 and 3, and then offer up an amendment for quarterly reports for the entire schedule.
My understanding was that Alderman Wilson amended your amendment to add number 1 to the list, and it hasn't been seconded.
No, I didn't add one. I was supporting his. He
wasn't
I didn't change anything.
Yeah, that was why I asked, because I thought the same thing.
Okay.
So the question is, quarterly reporting should be a separate amendment after we vote on the
No,
current
you could
amendment.
add it, assuming that the second agrees to the
Do
motion
it as
that
a
you made
friendly
already.
amendment to your amendment right now.
Okay, well then I'll amend the amendment requesting quarterly reports on all of the ARPA Round 2 allocations beginning on October 1st, 2022.
Does the second agrees?
Yes.
Okay.
Just for clarification, from whom are they to come? From NCDC or otherwise?
No, and each department head or entity that is receiving the money, it is my intention that they will submit a quarterly report to the city manager, who will then submit it and then forward those to the council.
Thank you. Is there further discussion?
Did the second agree?
Yes, Singh agreed. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
The amendment passes 7-0 as the resolution as now amended. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, roll call. please.
Oops,
Oh,
hang on.
Someone's here. I apologize.
Sorry, I'm blocked.
Okay. Alderwoman Gould.
Now that I've had one more minute to think about this, I think October 1st of 2022 to have a report on the ARPA funds is putting a lot of pressure on a lot of these departments who may not even have even put their plans together yet on what they're going to do, and then to ask them to report in such a short time. I think we should be giving them a little more time. It seems like a lot of work for President of NCDC to get, 3 or 4 reports together. I don't know what he's going to be able to tell us in 2 months' time, or what the Director of Public Works is going to be able to tell us in 2 months' time. I think we should at least give them until the end of the year to get us their first report. And then after that, if you want to make it quarterly or semi-annually, but I think in 2 months' time, it's a lot of pressure for these departments who may not even have had $1 yet spent of these ARPA funds.
Anybody want to take it? President Pro Tem.
So October 1st is 4 months from now. We are allocating the money tonight. So if we were talking about quarterly reports, quarterly is 3 months, and I know that you don't need the math lesson. I'm just saying that, I'm just explaining my thinking, is that when I considered exactly what your point is, I said, okay, I thought to myself, if we're allocating the money tonight, right here it is, the very first week of June, okay, this is not even a quarter, that the first report being due is not even a quarterly report, it's quarterly plus 30 days. So I would think that the entities that are getting this money tonight, allocated tonight, and the money hits the street in a month, they'll be making a quarterly report from the time that they actually have the money in their hands. And to your point, although well taken, to your point about them getting their ducks in a row, so to speak, about how they're going to spend the money, their ducks should already be in a row, because of the fact that they requested the money, they must have known what they were going to, at least ballpark what this money was going to go to. So I would think that that the ducks are already moving, forgive the metaphor, but downstream.
Thank you. The city manager wishes to be recognized.
I don't have any problem with this resolution. If for some reason the project hasn't moved forward, for whatever reason, it could be that we're waiting for bids to come back or other things, then we'll report that we haven't expended any money at that point, and we'll say because we're pending bids which are due in November 1st or something. So every project's not going to have the same amount of progress. Some are very are easily moving forward, like the Hale Mill. You know, when they request that money, it's going to come as a lump sum, and it's going to be transmitted, and it'll be done. There were others that will be long in production, so to speak, like Uncle Sleep. That's a large construction project that will take many months to do. So it really varies. So I don't want people to think that we can't do that, but there will be reports that will have zero expended, and there will be an explanation for it. But so I'm comfortable with that, Ms. Gould, that we would be transparent enough to say whether we could have, because they're all not going to progress at the same pace.
If I might, just
President Pro Tem.
thank you. I completely agree with what you just said, John, because again, I'm not asking to set benchmarks to say, oh, you know, 25% progress, I want to see that by October. No, that's not what this is about. This is just, as you described, a report on what progress, if any, has happened, but those progress reports happen faithfully every 3 months so that we're all aware of what's going on with these monies as projects move forward. That's all.
Right, that's what I heard.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what we would do.
Thank you. Alderwoman Gould, you had the floor. You had asked a question. He responded. Do you have any other comments at this time?
No.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Singh.
I think the purpose is to even provide citizens with what's going on with the working of ARP money. These are federal dollars, and, you know, as a citizen as well, you know, people have interest. What is the progress with all the money we are putting in all the different projects? So this will also give them opportunity to learn about the progress and where things are going. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Wilson.
I would like to echo that same sentiment that, you know, it's beyond just us as a council knowing what's going on. It's a way to continue the transparency lens all the way through to the community. So those reports will be posted just like our agendas and minutes and all those other things. But it also gives us a snapshot as to if there are things that come up. You know, I mean, one of the things that we know from just this first round is with every community getting money, the difficulty with certain work of contractors. And, you know, a year ago, you may have gotten twice as many bids on a project, whereas you're not getting as many or things of that sort, supply issues. So this gives us kind of a window to see where things are every 3 months. I think the other big part is this will help entities that are getting money as well as city departments to set goals as far as along the way as what they are looking to get done. But I also think, you know, the quarterly report by October and then after that continuing them also keeps us in the part of having a hands-on approach to making sure expenditures are happening correctly. Everybody knows what's going on in the city as far as projects. And more importantly, if a snafu or something does come up, we are able to mitigate the situation before anything happens. So thank you.
Thank you. Further comment?
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Bertle? Yes. Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gold?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Amendment passes 7-0. Is there further discussion on Resolution 3 as amended? Roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Berto.
Yes.
Alderman Singh.
Yes.
Alderman Gold.
Yes.
Alderman Newendorf.
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia.
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom.
Yes.
That's 7-0.
Resolution as amended passes 7-0.
Number 4, relative to scheduling a workshop for proposed American Rescue Plan Act allocations.
Thank you. Motion to bring this to the floor, please. Alderman Singh, seconded by Alderman Berto. Is there discussion? Alderman Wilson.
I would like to make an amendment to the Resolution 4, adding the line items from of the records clerk, which was 11, 12, which was the police officers, 13, which is the zoning and blight enforcement officer, 15, the fire inspector, 16, the auto equipment mechanic, and 17, the human service manager, to Resolution 4, I'm sorry, for the workshop.
Thank you. Is there a second to the amendment? Alderman Singh. Motion is seconded. Is there further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, roll call.
Nope. Oh, I'm sorry, on the amendment.
It's just the amendment.
Yep, thank you.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Alderman Berto.
Yes.
Alderman Singh.
Yes.
Alderman Gould.
Yes.
Alderman Newendorf.
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia.
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom.
Yes.
7-0.
The amendment passes 7-0. As the resolution is amended, is there further discussion? President Pro Tem.
I'd like to make a motion that in the date, time, and location, we strike that to say the workshop is held prior to the July 18th, 2022 City Council meeting.
Motion to amend prior to or before the July 18th council meeting. Is there a second? Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Alderman Singh.
For the location, should we just keep chambers? I don't think so. We talked about location.
I think it's going to be here,
President Pro Tem will respond.
prior to the meeting.
So we have informally discussed getting out into the public, and the senior center seemed to be the preferred site for a number of different reasons, but none more important than getting us out of this chamber and talking directly with people about what they would like to see us do.
Okay. So should that be part of motion?
I think to handcuff if I may respond.
Please.
I think to handcuff staff on the location might just be one level too far down in the weeds. I mean, we've expressed a desire. It'll be up to staff to work it out for us or find an alternate space.
Thank you. And I believe our Human Service Director is aware at this point. She was contacted. Any further discussion? Please.
The only thing we have to take under consideration at the senior center, if we have a conflict with the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday testing. But we should be able to work around that on a Thursday, or they only use part of the parking lot. They don't use the interior of the building, but just want to make you aware of that. So it may be a little tricky with that.
Thank you.
If I may.
Pro Tem.
And I know that was before you came into chambers, but we might even be able to work out a Saturday if that works better. You know, there's some flexibility there on the day of the week, for sure.
Thank you both. Further discussion?
So last
Alderman
thing.
Singh.
Thank you. So for resolution purpose, should we just say to be announced, where it says location?
Well, you've got the time, the date, and the location. You haven't picked any of those.
Yes.
Yep.
Pro Tem.
Well, when it's all settled and locked in,
That's it.
the clerk will.
Okay. So we're just
will
adding
post
that
it, yes,
before
as a
July
public-
18th.
Right, as a public meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. No further discussion. Roll call on the
Sorry.
amendment, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gold?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Amendment is adopted. On the resolution as amended, is there further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderwoman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gold?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Motion passes 7-0. Resolution adopted as amended.
Number 5, relative to the adoption of the budget for fiscal year 22-23.
A motion, please, to bring this to the floor. Alderwoman Gould. Is there a second? Alderman Wilson. Is there discussion? Alderman Wilson.
I would like to make an amendment to the budget. If we go to, it's in the Register of Voters line item. I would like to add a line.
Page 70.
Page 71 in your budget book. I would like to add a line item to their overall budget for the transportation expenditure for busing on both for the elections for $3,000. So that would, and so that I'll do that, and then I'll do discussion after.
Is there a second, please? Alderwoman Berto. Is there a discussion? Pro Tem.
So the intent is, and the amount is based on providing transportation if there's our primaries and on election day. Just to be clear about that. I don't know if I need to change.
He didn't say the primary.
Okay.
Correct.
That is your intent. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I think this hearing may not be going day.
Oh. Is there further discussion on the amendment? Alderwoman Gould?
I don't know where did you do some research as to the dollar amount of this? And what happens if the dollar amount is insufficient to cover busing people for the primary and the election day?
Can I respond?
And is that for just the coming year?
Can I respond to that?
It's a question, please.
So during our department budget hearings, this was a question that was brought up by our registrar of voters right in this room, where they discussed there are some concerns with the redistricting of areas, one notably being Huntington, and several other areas where there are more individuals moved into those areas based off of the redistricting map, and making sure that we were providing quality or adequate transportation to some of those polling sites as they stand now. I think the other concern is we've scrambled in years previous where our town committees have covered the cost of transportation. And I think obviously when we're talking access to voting, access to an opportunity to such a thing, as a city, we should take on the responsibility of making sure we have that opportunity. So what they did after that department budget hearing was reach out to the bus company for what the cost would be to have the buses on election day and so on and so forth, and that's where that figure comes up with. So this is not something new that they've done. The figure is always around that ballpark, but they have already reached out to the bus company to get the figure. So that's where that figure comes from.
So we've contracted with First Student to arrange this?
So they've already reached out to First Student. I believe that's who they normally would use for the busing, and that's the ballpark for having, I believe it's 3 or 4 buses to man the entire city on a primary or a general election.
For the primary and the general election?
Yes. So $3,000 will cover both a primary and the general election in November.
Okay, so this is just for this year, for
Correct.
2022?
Correct.
And what happens if it is over budget?
I believe they've got the amount down to a science. I mean, I think that's a conversation that when they work with first student and the city manager to make sure that that's within that ballpark. So I think that's the other piece to this.
Alderwoman Gould, all set?
I'm all set.
Thank you. Pro Tem.
So I would say, I understand your concern, Alderwoman Gould. So I think that it would be incumbent upon the Registrar of Voters Office and the City Manager's Office and the Comptroller's Office so that everybody understands that this is a not-to-exceed number. Right? They were quoted $1,500 per day. So, but I agree with you, you know, there needs to be a limit. You know, it's not a bottomless cup, so to speak. So, to me, it's a not-to-exceed number.
Thank you. Is there further comment? I think we may end up being low. Diesel has doubled in price, and all signs it's still going up, but time will tell. And maybe we learn and have to make an adjustment after primaries, I believe, in August. But roll call, please. Oh, is it other?
Oh, it was just me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask you, if, with that thought in mind, if you thought that the number should be like maybe 5,000 instead of 3,000. That would be 2 days.
I'd rather have money left over than be short and have to cut a bus, particularly if it's on election day.
I would completely agree with that, but I think I share some of the same concerns as the colleagues further to my left, you know, that you set a number and then that's what the bill is,
Yeah.
right? When it didn't
get it.
need to be that bill. So there's that fiscal responsibility part that comes into it as well.
Thank you. The city manager's looking for recognition.
Yeah, if I may, there is some flexibility within their line item budget to begin with. So if we look like we're going to go over the 3, we probably find money within their account to transfer. I would try to do that first before I would want to add money to it. So we'll know that relatively quickly now that we have this amendment, and we'll tie down the amount quickly.
Right. And I would just add that, you know, let's keep in mind what the focus here is. The focus here is that nobody is unable to vote because of transportation issue when we could very easily solve it.
Right.
Thank you. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto? Yes. Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
No.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
That's 6-1.
Resolution is amended, 6-1 vote. Is there further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto? Yes. Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman DeLucia? Excuse me, Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Sorry. Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Resolution as amended is adopted. Thank you. 7-0.
Number 6, relative to the adoption of the appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2022-23.
Motion, please, to bring this to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second, Alderwoman Berto. Is there discussion? Pro Tem, please.
Just a question. The amendment to Resolution 5, does that need to be added to Resolution 6? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think the language covers any amendments made on this night.
So they carry over?
Yeah, the
Okay.
last sentence says, and as further amended on June 6th. So
Includes.
we put that in there, assuming there might be some changes tonight.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on Resolution 6? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Bertle?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Resolution 6 is adopted 7-0.
Resolution 7, relative to the adoption of the tax levy ordinance for fiscal year 22-23.
At this time, motion please to bring this to the floor, and keep in mind, we generally leave time for the comptroller to fill in the blanks. Alderwoman Gould, second by Alderwoman Berto.
So for Section 1, the new mill rate should be 41.83 mils. For Section 2, the mill rate should be 0.35 mils. And for Section 3, the mill rate should be 6.65 mils.
Thank you. I would accept a motion to amend as outlined by the comptroller. Alderwoman Gould, second. Alderwoman Berto. Is there discussion on the amendment proposed at this time? Okay, thank you. The further discussion? Seeing none?
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Bertle?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
That's 7-0 on the amendment.
Resolution is amended, 7-0. On the resolution as amended, is there further discussion? Pro Tem, please.
I would just like to take a moment to thank everyone involved in this process for all of their hard work. I'd like to point out that we all did a lot of work, and we used quite a bit of ARPA money to get this budget where it needed to be, which essentially is flat on mill rate increase and taxation. We don't know that there will be ARPA money left at this time next year to do the same thing. We can plan, but best laid plans of mice and men comes to mind. So that means that we're going to have our work cut out for us next year, and I don't mean that just at budget time. The mayor and I have discussed this. It means that we need to be working together as a group on economic development, on growing the grand list, on increasing the revenue to the city, so that we can offset the increased costs to services that will come. So I would just like to say that this is a joyous occasion, that we are not raising the mill rate, but as I'll celebrate for 24 hours, and then, I think we are right back to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Alderman Wilson.
I think echoing President Pro Tem DeLucia's sentiments is correct. I think the other part, too, is working closely with our state legislative team. We've had a collaborative effort and continuing to work with them to make sure that we are all in the know of what's going on will be important. I think one of the other things to take out of just from community comments is us being more interactive and proactive in workshop style, for whether it be setting goals or priorities in the fall to set us up for success come this time next spring. And I think a combination of seeing where ARPA projects are going, seeing what's happening with businesses developing here and economic development all of those pieces to the puzzle along this way over this course of this fiscal year, us being very collaborative and communicative with different individuals is going to put us in a place to be successful. The other thing, I think, just kind of answering a question that was asked from comment today, there was money put in the capital budget to work on the skate park. And I think that was added back when we preliminarily adopted the budget. So I did want to cover that as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Comptroller?
Also.
Also, okay. It looked like you wanted to share. Okay. Is there further discussion? Alderwoman Gould.
I think what passing this budget tonight signals is that the council has listened to the people who live here and the people who work here and the people who do business here, that they maybe are just inching out of the pandemic, and they still are struggling. I think we have recognized what the people have said, that we hear what you have said, and that's why we have kept the taxes flat. I think it also sends a message that we are thoughtful in what we do here, that we are open for business here, that we are looking to redevelop properties. We are looking to develop properties. We have a plan for a beautiful new business park. And I think it sends a positive message that we're open for business. We want you to come here to live. We want you to come here to work. And we want you to come here and visit our city and enjoy all of the amenities that we have to offer. And I hope that's the takeaway, because as hard as we've worked, the public doesn't necessarily see what goes on behind the scenes, or the discussions, the ad hoc committee meetings, all of that. They may not know that. What they're going to see in tomorrow's paper is the city of Norwich taxes are flat if we meet their deadline tonight. Otherwise, we missed the deadline. They'll have to read it on an online version. But that's the message. The message is we heard you, and while we have an obligation to meet increases to our employees, we've heard what the people have had to say, that you are struggling to afford the taxes here, and we have to do everything we can. So after we've celebrated for 24 hours, or maybe 36 until we see it in the newspaper, then we have to go back to work, because the only way to continue to keep taxes flat or reduce them is we have to grow our grand list. It's the only way possible. Yes, maybe next year we'll have some ARPA dollars that we can use, but it's a one-time, it's a gimme, and we have to really look to the future to bring business to Norwich. I know Kevin Brown is working at it 36 hours a day, and Deanna Rhodes is working at it with her team 36 hours a day, and all of the other departments are working very hard, and we appreciate their hard work. But to grow the grand list is each and every one of our jobs. And that's how you make a city thrive. All of these things that we're going to do with the ARPA money is going to be fantastic. All of the new amenities, the upgrades that we're going to make. But growing the grand list is the key. And I want to thank everybody here tonight for hearing the message from the public and responding to it, and keeping the taxes where they are. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Singh.
Thank you. So of course, this budget does reflect that we understand the sentiments of our citizens who had a very big concern that with all this ARP money coming, and if taxes still go up, that means something is wrong. So I'm very glad that our taxes are not going up, and even mill rate has dropped to some extent, maybe not considerably too much, but something is better than nothing. But I do share the concern that a lot of our colleagues are also facing what's going to happen next year. But I'm an optimistic person, and I think all the investments that we have made through this ARP money will be paying us back with all the money we are investing in infrastructure, investing in all the businesses to come to this town. So hopefully we will be on track for next year as well, but I do understand there is still a lot of hard work we all need to put in. But I was also glad that this budget was a collaborative efforts between all of our colleagues. So it also shows that we want to work together for betterment of our town, for betterment of all our citizens. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? I will just maybe sum this part up by simply saying I look forward to the effort to reduce the mill rate next year. And I see and hear encouragement from comments just recently made that will help us do that. Thank you.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Motion passes 7-0. The resolution is adopted. Levy is set. The budget is adopted.
Number 8, relative to schedule a public hearing on June 20th, 2022 at 7:30 PM regarding the Community Development Block Grant allocation recommendation for PY 2022.
Thank you. At this time, I accept the motion to bring this resolution to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second by Alderwoman Berto. Roll call, please. Again, this is scheduling a public hearing to be held on June 20th at 7:30 PM here in council chambers.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
Number 9, relative to a holding agreement between the City of Norwich and the Mohegan Tribe of Indians in Connecticut for the use of prisoner holding facilities.
Thank you. A motion to bring this to the floor. Alderwoman Berto, second. Alderman Singh. And personally, I'd like to thank the tribe for negotiating this discussion with us. Thank you. Is there comment further? President Pro Tem.
As Chair of Public Safety, I would echo that comment. I appreciate the tribe's willingness to work with us while our holding area in the police department is being renovated.
Thank you, sir. Is there further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Thank you. Resolution passed 7-0.
Number 10, relative to a deed in lieu of foreclosure for 2426 Railroad Avenue.
Motion, please, to bring it to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second. Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
Number 10, relative to an appointment of a regular member to the Recreation Advisory Committee.
Resolution, please bring to the floor by Alderwoman Berto, second. Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Alderman Wilson, please.
I want to thank Peter Camp for stepping forward to be a part of an amazing group of individuals. I'm excited to work with him. He understands recreation. He's involved in this community doing many things. He is also the principal over at Uncas. So definitely thank you for giving us a little bit of your time to give back to the community.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Again, Peter Camp is the person being appointed as a regular member. Roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 12, relative to an appointment of a regular member to the Commission on the City Plan.
Motion, please, to bring this to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderwoman Berto. Is there discussion? Alderwoman Berto.
I just want to thank Ella Miles for stepping up and wanting to be on the Commission of City Plan. I look forward to seeing what she has to offer.
Thank you. Further discussion? Alderman Singh.
Yes, I actually welcome this resolution, and I think Ella Miles will be a good addition to Commission of City Plan. And even based upon the diversity, I think it will also help us reflect our diversity in the boards and commissions. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Wilson.
Thank you. It was a pleasure interviewing Ella Miles. We know her well, served, of course, and so she knows the work that this commission does, and her asset to the commission will be greatly appreciated, and thank her for stepping forward to serve.
Thank you. Further discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Resolution is adopted 7-0.
Number 13, relative to a reappointment of a regular member to the Board of Assessment Appeals.
A motion, please, to bring it to the floor. Alderman Berto, second Alderman Wilson. Is there discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
That's 7-0.
Resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 14, relative to an appointment of a regular member to the Commission for Persons with Disabilities.
A motion, please, to the floor. Alderman Singh, second Alderman Berto. Is there discussion? Roll call, please.
I'm sorry.
Oh, my apologies.
No, it's my fault, but if we're going to thank, we should thank everyone. So thank you, Gene Becker, and thank you, Wendy Fenner, for accepting this appointment.
Thank you, sir.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Motion passes 7-0.
Number 15, relative to a reappointment as an alternate member to the Personnel and Pension Board.
Motion, please, to bring it to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderman Wilson. Is there discussion? President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Bob Punch, for agreeing to be reappointed to the Personnel and Pension Board.
Thank you. Further discussion? Roll call,
Alderman
please.
Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 16, relative to an appointment as a regular member to the Senior Affairs Commission.
Motion, Alderwoman Gould, second Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Alderwoman Gould.
I want to thank Becky for stepping up and taking a regular member spot on the Senior Affairs Commission. If you don't know her, you have to meet her. She is absolutely just one of the nicest people you ever wanted to meet. She loves the seniors. They love her. She's a hoot. She really is. She really is. And she enlightens their day anytime she's at the senior center. So thank you very much, Becky.
Thank you. To further, Alderwoman Berto, please.
I just want to echo Alderwoman Gould's comments. I do want to thank her for stepping up and being appointed as a regular member of the Senior Affairs Commission. And again, I just want to say thank you, and I can't wait to work with her.
Thank you. Further discussion, roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
7-0.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
I hereby move
Alderwoman Gould, you have the floor.
pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, Section 1-200, subsection 6, that the members of the Norwich City Council go into executive session for the purpose of discussing an application or applications for funding for work qualifying and available under the American Rescue Plan Act, when such discussion will involve a review of commercial or financial information given in confidence and not required by statute, and potentially discussion of trade secrets with respect to techniques and processes, as well as a review of preliminary drafts relative to the same. City Manager John Salamone, Chris LaRose of Norwich Public Utilities, Kevin Brown of the Norwich Community Development Corporation, and Corporation Counsel Michael Driscoll shall be asked to participate during all or a portion of this executive session at the request of the City Council.
Thank you. Is there a second?
So moved.
Thank you. Seconded by Pro Tem DeLucia. Roll call, please.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Berto?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Neuendorf?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes.
That's 7-0.
Motion passes 7-0.